Rahim. Hi friends, I hope you'll be doing good, you'll be great. This lesson is very special for all those students who want to distinguish or who want to find the main difference between phrases and clauses. Phrases and clauses are very complicated topics in the English language, and that's why it is worth watching, it is worth mentioning, and especially for all those English language learners who want to know about the difference. So let's get started. So we have a definition of phrase. The first definition says that a phrase is a group or set of words which doesn't have a subject and verb. The first definition says that a phrase is a group or it can be a set of words which doesn't have a subject and verb. It means that the subject and verb are most of the time missing in case of phrases. Phrases don't contain a subject and verb, although they may contain subject in some cases, right? But most of the time they don't have a subject and verb. The second definition, let's jump to the second definition. The second definition is a phrase doesn't give a complete meaning, idea or sense, but is an essential element or fragment of the sentence. It means that a phrase doesn't give, it doesn't provide a complete meaning. The meaning is incomplete, right? The idea or sense. It doesn't give us a complete meaning, idea or sense, right? Then we have, but is an essential element or fragment of the sentence. It is an essential element because you have to arrange and structure as well as combine and link different phrases together with each other. So that to make a sentence, a grammatical sentence, you need different phrases. You have to combine and link different phrases with each other so that to construct or form a sentence. So that's why it is essential to understand that they are always acting or working as a fragment. They are just like a part of sentences which are short and incomplete, but you have to combine them or place them in different sentences for the construction of sentences. They are used in syntax, an important branch of linguistics. So it's simple. They are used in syntax, just like semantics, phonetics, phonology, morphology. We are always syntax. Syntax is also one of the most important branches of linguistics. So they are using syntax. So syntax deals with all the phrases, whether noun phrases, verb phrases, adjective phrases, adverb phrases, all kinds of phrases. Syntax deals with all kinds of different phrases. So then we have examples of phrases. A good girl. So a good girl is actually a noun phrase because it contains noun as a head. Here it is a noun. It contains noun as a head. So that's why it is called a noun phrase because it contains noun as a head. Right? So that's why it can also be called a noun phrase. Like noun phrase. Noun phrase. Or it can be abbreviated as NP. Noun phrase. So it is called a phrase because it is not a complete sentence. One reason is that it doesn't have any verb. Although it has a subject, it has got its own subject, but the verb is missing here. The verb is not present here in this structure. So that's why it's a fragment. It's a part of the sentence, but not a complete sentence, as it doesn't have a verb. That's why. Let's try to change this noun phrase into a sentence like he likes a good girl. No, we have just used it in our sentence, and it is a sentence, complete sentence or a main clause because it has got its own verb. But in this case, we don't have any verb, so we have to use different. You have to place or use different phrases in our own sentences, so that to formulate sentences. And we are really impressive. Really impressive is an adjective phrase, and it can be abbreviated as AP. Adjective phrase. Very impressive. Let's try to change this phrase into the sentence like she is really impressive. That's why it has got its own verb. It's a verb, right? A popular verb or a copulative verb or a linking verb. That's why it is called as complete sentence because it contains a complete idea or sense or meaning, right? That's why then it has been changed into a sentence. So it is actually here an adjective phrase, but now we have used it in our sentence. That's why they are called fragments. They are parts of the sentences. That's why they are very important. Will speak is a verb phrase. VP, verb phrase, right? Abbreviated. It can be abbreviated just like the adjective phrase and noun phrases as VP. So we'll speak like I will speak English. So that's why I will speak English. So here will speak is a word phrase, right? It's a word phrase, but we use it in our sentence. So that's why it is a word phrase because it contains verb as a head. It contains two different verbs. One is auxiliary verb will, and the other is the main verb or lexical verb, which is speak. So that's why they are used in different sentences. So we can use different phrases in our sentences. One thing is clear, that phrase doesn't give a complete sense or idea. A phrase doesn't contain a subject and verb, or it may contain subject in some cases. Then we have many politicians. Many politicians is actually here a noun phrase because it contains noun as a head. It contains noun as a head. It's a noun. It is a head. Many is a determiner, right? Let's try to change the phrase or noun phrase into a sentence. Like many politicians are involved in corruption. So, many politicians is actually a noun phrase because it contains noun as a head, which is for politician. So, politician is a noun in this phrase. That is why it is working and it is behaving as a noun phrase. Then we have, on the other hand, a class. So, a class is simple. A class is a group of words which contains or which always contains a subject and verb. A clause always have got. A clause always have a subject and verb. So, nothing is missing in the case of clause. While in case of phrase, we have one thing always missing. A phrase doesn't have a subject and verb, while a clause has always its own subject and verb. That's why it is different. A clause always contains a subject and verb and gives a complete meaning. It contains a subject and verb. It has got its own subject like subject and verb. It becomes a clause. Right? It becomes a clause. So that's why a clause has got its own subject and verb. That's why it is different from phrase. A phrase doesn't have a subject and verb, while a clause always, or while a clause does have these things. They are used with other clauses for the construction of sentences, such as complex sentences, compound sentences, and compound complex sentences. That's why they are used with other sentences. So, like you can say, compound sentences, complex sentences, compound complex sentences. They are used for a large number of sentences in the English language. So you have to arrange and connect different clauses with each other. So they too construct sentences such as complex sentences, compound sentences, and compound complex sentences. So that's why. Example of clauses. She is a teacher. So she is a teacher is a complete sentence. Or it can also be called a main clause. It can also be called a main clause. Main clause. Right? It contains a main clause. Or it can also be called sentence. Because it contains a subject and verb. It has got its own subject and verb. That is why. It is the subject of the sentence and it is the copular verb or copulative or linking verb. That's why it has got its own subject and verb. That is why it is called a clause. Then we have U1 the main. So U1, U is the subject. One is the main verb or the lexical verb or the principal verb. So that is why it can also be called a main clause. It can also be called a main clause or a main sentence or an independent clause because there is the subject and verb are present in this sentence or in this structure. That is why it is included in the category of clause because it has a subject and verb. So subject and verb are always important for a clause, but not for a phrase. For a phrase, we don't have any subject and verb, or a phrase lacks the two basic elements, that is subject and verb, while a clause always has a subject and verb. So it can also be called a main sentence. Sentence, right? And we have the last example, that is Ali is learning a new poem. Ali is learning a new poem, right? And it contains a subject and verb. It is the subject of the sentence, subject, and it is working as a main verb, a lexical verb, right? So that is why To sum up or to conclude, it is very simple, it is very understandable, easy for you people to find the difference between phrases and clauses. A phrase doesn't have a subject and verb. Or you can also say a phrase doesn't give us a complete idea, a complete concept, meaning or sense, while a clause a clause does give us these two things like subject and verb. It can give us a complete idea. If it is an independent clause, then it gives us a complete idea. But if it is a dependent clause, then it doesn't give us a complete idea. So there are two types of clauses, that is dependent clause and independent clause, or main clause or subordinate clause. They will be studied, they will be clarified to you people inshallah in the next video. So thank you so much for watching this video. I request you people to subscribe, like and share my channel. I will be back with a new interesting and informative video. Till then, take care.